to stay in the game. Texas had those 6 home runs in the regional game against Michigan. They got to keep the scoring down. For Texas, this team plays better when they work to focus outside of themselves. When their pitchers feel supported, they throw better. They must communicate the whole game.
Texas taking to the field a lot of two distinct and different shades of orange. We got softball coming your way. Clemson and Texas first.
27 starts. She is a trusted arm in the circle to get the tone started for Texas.
Let's take a look at our Capital One starting lineups. For the Clemson Tigers, Alex Brown will lead things off for them. But Marion Collins, just one of the freshmen who have made a big impact this year.
I mean, only got sat down once, had 4 RBI, just a solid producer down in the bottom of the lineup for the Tigers.
She went 8 for 9 in that regional, as you see, and that works out to an .889 batting average.
Not too shabby.
Good way to go, and we are officially underway in Austin. The sun is setting. It was hot today. Temperatures now in the high 80s. And Alex Brown getting going. Played 1 year at North Carolina before transferring to Clemson. She had 3 hits in the regional and takes that pitch for the first hit of the game. Leadoff is on for the Tigers.
For Tegan Kavan in the circle, she's going to touch 70 miles an hour. She throws her rise over 50% of the time and uses it at all levels. She gets good arm side run with it, about 6 inches of vertical break, and she mixes it with her drop that also gets about 6 inches of break in the other direction. Those pitches tunnel so well together. If she can locate her change, she will be very successful tonight.
And the talented second baseman Maddie Moore steps in for the Tigers. First team all-conference for 2 straight years, and this year she has set a Clemson singles season record with those 66 RBI.
And there's that changeup. That will be the difference maker for the longevity of her in the circle. Kavan, when she has that pitch in her arsenal, she does a really good job of just being able to mix up her velocity.
And Lightning is in the area, so we're just 1 batter plus 2 pitches in, and the players are being pulled from the field. If Lightning is within 8 miles, if there is a lightning strike, we have to go into a weather delay, and that is where we are. So with Alex Brown at first base and the 2-strike count on Maddie Moore, we're going to have to shut things down for a while for a minimum of 30 minutes. This will be 30 minutes after the last strike within the 8-mile radius. And game 1 of this best of 3 Super Regionals presented by Capital One between Clemson and Texas. Let's take a look at the bracket. The winner that comes out of Austin will get the winner of Florida, Georgia. That Super Regional in Gainesville will start tomorrow, with the winners meeting in the Women's College World Series in Oklahoma City next weekend. Pam Ward and Jenny Dalton-Hill joining you. And the players are back on the field. Tegan Kavan in the circle gave up a leadoff single to Alex Brown and then had an 0-2 count to Maddie Moore.
Well, and Kavan started the game well, got that bloop single, jammed up Alex Brown, but Brown was strong enough to punch it out there to left, right in front of Katie Bennett to get that leadoff single to move us now to Maddie Moore. She touches about 70 miles an hour in the circle, throws her rise about over 50% of the time, and uses it at all different levels.
Should be big enough for us to get some softball in tonight. And Maddie Moore, the talented second baseman, inheriting, or with that 0-2 count, pardon me, takes ball 1. A very special player for this team, has really blossomed in this, her senior season, improving every year, and is very good defensively. That's popped up, out of play, and caught by a fan behind the plate.
Well, but it is not Savannah Bananas, so it does not count as an out for the Longhorns. The wind picking up, though, here in Austin.
Blowing from right to left field right now. Now the 1-2 count to Moore. He's got a piece of it Reese Atwood behind the plate as usual for Texas. Atwood was a demon at the plate with 3 home runs in the regional last weekend. Both of these teams swept their regionals at home to get to the Supers. Texas trying to get back to the World Series for the second consecutive season and for the 3rd time in 4 years.
And it's so hard in a delay to be able to come in and know that you're facing Kavan in the circle, but Moore has done a good job as she started with an 0-2 count.
It's that one to also go out of play. The Clemson Tigers playing in their 3rd Super Regional in 4 years, and this their 5th full season of softball. Not only have they not won a Super Regional, they have not won a Super Regional game, being swept in their previous 2 trips. 8th pitch on the way to Moore. And from 0-2 to a full count.
Well, that just shows the maturity of Moore in the circle, just able to spoil those pitches close to the zone and being disciplined on those near the plate. I'm so impressed the way that this senior has taken her senior campaign this year for Clemson.
Lifted into short center field. Henry coming in from center, but it was Katie Stewart retreating from short to get the first out of the first. You take a look at the defense behind Tegan Kavan, and they had to really switch things up in the middle infield when Viviana Martinez hurt her knee in the preseason.
Yeah, tore ACL in the fall. They had to try a bunch of different players at the shortstop position, but that is the every bread and butter, everyday player over there at third. Mia Scott has been so good for Texas this year.
Stewart now, playing at short. Leon Good over at second. Julia Noller, the first baseman for the Tigers. Just 1 for 10 in the regional. But that one hit was a double, and this year she has set the Clemson season record for doubles. Down 0-2, just like Moore was before her.
Well, Kavan loves to fill the zone early and then be able to play with a batter to try to get that swing and miss.
Atwood holds it for a long time, but doesn't get the call.
That's how a catcher lets an umpire know that that was an intentional pitch that she thinks nipped a corner, and as long as Kavan can show the ability to go back to that spot with accuracy and with intention, I think she's going to be able to buy that strike as the game goes on.
Scott Mayer calling balls and strikes for us this evening. 4-person umpiring crew. Atwood 6 feet tall. Catcher behind the plate. Two just lifted into short center. Henry had to go a few steps for the second out.
We're seeing a lot of miss hits by Kavan right now, missing barrels, and the Tigers struggling to square things up.
John Rittman started this program now in his 6th season, ACC Coach of the Year in his first full year when they won the regular season championship. Head coach for 18 years at Stanford, and he and Mike White, his counterpart, know each other very well. And Coach White was at Oregon, and Coach White had a daughter, Nairi, who played for John Rittman for a couple of years.
Yeah, Coach Rittman recruited her, and Nairi went in, played for Coach Rittman before he was let go at Stanford.
Good look at Mike White. And a great job with this program. Cintron, the DP. And this freshman class has really delivered for this Tiger Club that lost so many key seniors, some of them founders of the program. Not a lot was expected coming in this year, but boy, the freshmen have kept them at that high level of play. ACC tournament champions for the first time. Here's the 2-1.
Beautiful pitch down in the zone took a little velocity off of that pitch, and you mentioned that this has been a reset year for Clemson. They graduated 7 seniors last year, some of the pillars of the program that put Clemson on the map.
Inside, despite what the people in the crowd are bellowing.
Yeah, there's a lot of umpires with burnt orange on tonight.
Yes. Burnt orange and tiger orange trimmed in purple. Full count again. Kavon's been flirting with those full counts, but she's gotten out of all of them. The leadoff single to Brown does no harm. Kavon sets the next 3 down in order. By Capital One, Ashton Maloney will be leading off, but in the cleanup position is Reese Atwood, who is going through kind of an up and down season, but in the regional last week, 8 for 11, 3 home runs and 13 runs driven in. As you see, that almost doesn't seem possible. That is a .727 average.
Well, and the 1 home run was about 10 feet away from hitting the building across the street behind left field.
So Maloney begins, second team All-SEC performer, also on the All-Defensive squad, playing out in right field. The only starter who has not hit a home run this season. She had a hot regional as well, going 7 for 12. Chop to Moore, who's a really good second baseman, and warmed your heart, Jenny Dalton-Hill, by saying she loves playing defense. And let's take a look at that defense.
She does love defense, but when you look at the way that they're set up, Moore over there at second base, it's her first year actually playing second base full time. She's been at short and third in previous years.
She told us she would rather take 300 ground balls than hit for 30 minutes.
And I looked at her and I said, seriously? Because you're a really good hitter. She said, yeah, I just take a lot of pride in my defense.
Outstanding hitter. Now, Caden Henry, the sophomore, second team all-conference this year. Remember, this is Texas's first year in the SEC, along with Oklahoma. And she is hitting .420 on the season. One of the more lighthearted players on this team.
I really enjoyed talking with Caden Henry before this Super Regional started. She said, I asked if they had any nicknames for Coach White. She said, oh, you mean Pawpaw White? When we mentioned it to Coach White, he said, I know who said that.
Yes, and it was indeed Caden. Let's take a look at what Basinger has.
So Basinger is going to throw 63 to 64 miles an hour. She's very spin-focused with a curve to both sides of the plate and a drop. She has a fantastic changeup and will throw it to multiple times to batters. She does not waste time in the circle. Very efficient.
Yeah, very quick. And Collins has to be really quick and got her. Great stretch over there by Noller at first base. And the very speedy Henry was called out.
She was called out, but it looks like we're going to have a replay review. Knowing there is a ton of speed coming out of the box, had to be rushed. And I think this is going to be an overturned challenge. Watching her get down the line, she came hard out of the box.
The ruling on the field is out at first base. Texas is challenging that ruling. We're under review.
Mike Bartling is the first base umpire who made the call, very close. And Henry, one of the speedier players on this team, leads them in stolen bases, 30 out of 31 on the season. And this is actually second in the nation in stolen bases. Let's take a look.
Yeah, I think that foot gets in there. You're looking for, does the foot touch the bag before the ball is secured in the web of the glove? The glove doesn't have to close around the ball. It just has to be in the web. And Caden, so fast down the line, hits the front of the bag. Let that be a lesson to all of you young athletes that are playing this game. If she doesn't hit the front of the bag, she does not get this overturned.
And with the freeze, you see there's the foot and there's the ball not in Noller's glove. So we're anticipating that this will be overturned. Caden Henry, when she was in high school, ran the 100 meters in 11.7 seconds, a regional qualifier. So she definitely uses that speed as a weapon for Coach Mike White, or she calls him
Pawpaw.
But that was funny. Right away, he said, Caden said that, right? I'm like, yep.
Well, and Coach White this season has had shoulder surgery, and because of that has not been able to throw with as much velocity in his BP sessions to the team, and the hitters have actually had more success against him this year. And when we talked to Caden about that, she said, yeah, I tell the girls on the team that they've met Coach White, but they have not met Michael White,
yes,
the pitcher.
With the full force of his arsenal, and here comes the decision.
After review, the call of the field has been changed to safe. Texas has used their first challenge.
So the infield single with one out for Henry.
Impressed with how many fans stuck around in that lightning delay.
Yep.
Still a full house here in Austin.
And third baseman Mia Scott hitting .442 on the season. Shanae Jefferson hit .446 in 2021. That was the best season ever average-wise, and Scott is creeping up on that. Puts down the bunt and beats it out. Then the ball gets away from Noller. That allows Henry to try to come home, and she scores. Caden Henry is blasted around the bases to put Texas on top.
And there's a lot to unpack in that play. All of it has to do with speed. When you put wheels in the box and on the bases, it puts pressure on a defense to have to be perfect in their execution. So with Basinger fielding this ball and Noller at first base casually taking that ball, got away. And when you've got the speed of Caden Henry, you've got to be aware of taking care of that little yellow ball. And when you do not, they're going to exploit it. Puts a run on the board after just one small little miscue over there at first base.
So Scott, that's an infield single on the bunt. And then a throwing error charged to Basinger, the pitcher. That's an unearned run.
I'm surprised that they give that error to Basinger. I think that's a very fieldable catch by Noller at first base. I would put that error on Noller and not on the throw.
I agree. That should have been caught by Noller, and she probably would be the first one to admit it. And now, the problem that is Reese Atwood at the plate. 2 home runs in the regional clincher against UCF. After going through, for her, a little bit of a rough patch in the season, and Coach Mike White told her, look, you don't have to do it all by yourself. You have teammates who will pick you up, and boy, did she respond in the regional.
Well, she's the first player to hit 45 or more home runs, 175 or more RBI in a career here at Texas.
Popped up into short left field, playable for Johnson.
The shortstop,
Texas first year in the SEC. 49 wins, 7 all-conference selections, 22 run rule victories, and you see tied for the third in the country in shutouts and second in the entire country with a .361 batting average. 2 out for Katie Stewart, who is playing shortstop this year for Martinez.
There has been some movement at the shortstop spot as they tried to fill the loss of their everyday shortstop going down with that injury in the fall.
Also in the air, Collins calls off Brown for the 3rd out, but Texas scores an unearned run, and they take the lead 1-0.
There was a lot going on with Caden Henry on first base, a drag bunt by Mia Scott. Ball got away from Noller, and Henry was off to the races. She played
.412 in the postseason to raise her average. Facing Tegan Cavan, who has World Series experience, pitched there last year as a freshman. got all the way to the championship series, where for the second time in 3 years they played Oklahoma and lost.
Yep, last 4 years, Oklahoma's been the national champion. And I don't know if you recognized in that video promo that we had for the World Series, Pam, but the very first frame is 3 UCLA players hugging each other, one of them being Dot Richardson. Dot Richardson, now the head coach at Liberty, that took down the #1 team, Texas A&M, just last week.
2-1 to Vieira. So we mentioned that Vieira is on a tear. Clemson swept all 3 of their games in their regional last week at home, taking out Kentucky in the finale, and Vieira was right in the thick of things. She's also an excellent catcher behind the plate. Chopped and handled by Jolie Mitchell. Notre Dame transfer, finishing out her career here in Austin.
Wanted the experience of what it was like playing in a big program like Texas, so graduated from Notre Dame and took her 2 years of eligibility here to Austin.
Marion Collins, another true freshman. 8 for 9 in the regional last week, and hitting .556 in the postseason, counting the ACC tournament that Clemson won. Come from behind fashion. Mitchell, a little bobble, but no problem. Couple of ground balls to first.
You can see these hitters ahead of Pavon in the circle. What that means is she's manipulating her speed very well, and these hitters out in front, so the barrel getting around a little too early. A lot of action over there at first.
Pavon has been spot on. First pitch strikes on 5 of the 6 batters she has faced. Now Taylor Pipkins, another freshman.
Again, another off-speed pitch. She's starting these hitters with the off-speed, trying to make sure they understand that they need to be able to manipulate their barrel, stay in their legs. Typically you see power pitchers hold on to that changeup for a little while and bring it out maybe the second time through the lineup, but Pavon in this one has brought it out early.
0-1 to Pipkins. Make it 0-2.
And it's a very low zone here tonight. Pavon has tried to push the top of the zone just above the belt. It has not been called, so that ball right under the kneecap is actually getting called as a strike here tonight.
Katie Stewart, not in time. Pipkins gets down to first with 2 away.
Well, and I understand why she stayed back to get the high hop. However, when you sit back and let the ball stay in the air that long, you give too much time for a batter to get down the line. A shortstop needs to be more aggressive moving forward. Pick that on the short hop, come away with a throw on the run, get yourself out of the inning.
Now Pipkins credited with the infield single against Stewart, playing over there, and has kind of taken some lumps playing shortstop, but Mike White has told her just be in there, try to be steady, not asking for magic. But
no,
that's a tough position to just throw someone into.
It is, and you have to learn the timing of shortstop. You cannot sit back on those things. Letting the ball hit twice on the ground is what gave Pipkins the chance to get down the line. It's learning when to charge, when to sit back, when to take a step back. It's a position of feel, and you have to be able to just get those reps, and Stewart still learning those lessons.
Kylie Johnson's turn to fall behind 0-2 to Pavon. Johnson only 6 home runs on the season, but in the last 4 games, she's hit 2 home runs that have been go-ahead homers.
Yeah, struggled early, was taken out of the lineup, and then found her way into the starting lineup and has kept herself there. Yeah, that high strike is not going to get called tonight. That one was definitely high, not a strike. But we're noticing the ball just above the belt not getting called in this one tonight. So hitters need to take note in the dugout as they face Pavon. The pitch that might feel too low is actually getting called tonight.
Johnson just got a piece of it.
I'm never upset as a hitter if a zone stays consistent. It's the zone that changes through the game that makes it really difficult to attack.
Another 2-2 with Pipkins over at first. Another chance for Stewart. That was played better and not in time. Johnson got down the line.
Well, there was a stutter step, Pam, before she charged that ball, so she played that one much better. Learning from the previous ball that she sat back on, tried to go forward, but recognized the hesitation before she came forward. If she had just taken that step forward immediately, she would have been able to throw that runner out. But that little hesitation gave enough time for Johnson to get down the line.
Boy, another close call over at first. Now Patty Ruth Taylor, now in her second year, she calls the pitches for Texas. Is out there in the circle.
Steve Singleton working with the defense for Texas, a minor league player in the Twins organization.
And an associate head coach now here at Texas. 2 on and 2 away for Clemson.
And Clemson's not a team that will bow down lightly. While they did allow a run in the first inning with just a lack of focus on a play that squibbled away from Noller at first base, they continue to put pressure on Texas.
And Clemson has been the comeback kids. Certainly were in the ACC championship tournament where they came from behind in all 3 games to win. The epic comeback in the rain in the semifinal against Virginia Tech. And then Kylie Johnson's home run in the 7th that beat Florida State 2-1 in the championship. Jamison Brockenbrough, the number 9 hitter, the transfer from Tennessee, who's been sort of a breath of fresh air for them, keeps everybody loose in the clubhouse, trying to get on base and just keep this game going, turn over the lineup. Keep this inning going, pardon me.
And previous to this season, she had been more of a swing away lefty, but got injured her hand in the fall, and with that moved to more short game and started utilizing her short game more, and so now has that as a confident tool to use at the plate.
2-2 on a 70-mile-an-hour pitch from Kavan.
When it was early in this game, we saw a bunch of bloop hits hit out to the outfield. And that was one of the things that her defense said they struggled with. She pitched so well, and balls just continued to fall in front of the outfielders and just beyond the reach of the infielders because they weren't able to square up barrel.
Brockenbrough, boy, very busy inning for Katie Stewart, who was able to
rolling, and they're hoping that they can keep that trend going here against Clemson, because Oklahoma not ranked number 1 this year, and actually the number 1 seed in the tournament went down last week. Texas A&M fell to Liberty at home. First time ever in regional play that the number 1 seed did not advance. So is this the year that Oklahoma does not win? I know that is not going to be a popular statement.
Been waiting for that to happen, and hasn't happened yet. Jolie Mitchell, second year at Texas. Notre Dame transfer. Pre-med program, and he's going to go to nursing school in the fall.
Wants to be a nurse anesthetist, so she says it gives a lot of freedom, makes quite a bit of money, and she appreciates just having things to challenge her mind. She says she sits down to study with some of her teammates, and they say, "That's cool, what's that?"
Like a whole different language. And you see the improvement in her numbers from last season, her first year. That ball was hammered. It's going to have a dent in it from hitting the wall, or maybe vice versa.
But the improvement that we've seen in Jolie Mitchell from last year to this year, it's great. I mean, almost double the home runs, RBI improvement. So as she sits in the bottom of the lineup, she sits with a chance to be able to put more runs around with the kind of bats that hit in front of her.
The numbers for this team. Again, second in the nation in batting average. The first 4 hitters in the lineup hitting at least 420. Mitchell at 388 coming into today. Fighting off pitches from Reese Basinger. And Basinger, very different pitcher than her counterpart tonight in Tegan Cavan. You're going to see a lot of pitch to contact, as you mentioned, spinny, not a lot of strikeouts, very different.
I mean, she does have 121 strikeouts coming into tonight, but you're right, Pam. She's more of a touch pitcher and pitching to contact. That one right to Jolie Mitchell's bat, an easy stand-up double, but she chooses to slide in and get the uniform dirty. There was no need. That ball was nowhere near the infield by the time she got to second base. Took off hard out of the box, and that's what made that such an easy advancement. That ball got all the way to the wall. And on a pitch to contact pitcher, you have to mix speeds. And right now we're seeing the ball stay just low 60s, very hittable speed. And with it rolling all the way to that 10-foot wall, Jolie Mitchell, easy stand-up double to start off the second.
9th double of the year for Mitchell, and that came on a full count, the first 3-ball count for Basinger this evening. Victoria Hunter is DPing tonight in the 7th spot for the Longhorns. A sophomore from Houston. Pops it up. Caught by Vieira. Mitchell did not stray off second. First out.
In the 8th and playing second base.
Yeah, cardinal sin when you're given the sacrifice bunt. You better miss or put it on the ground. Popping up, definitely not the way to execute that play.
Bottom of the order trying to get something done with Leanne Good, pardon me, the second baseman. He was 4 for 10 in the regional last week. Hit into center field. Brockenbrough initially broke forward and then retreated to grab it for the second out.
And typically you want to see your center fielder hold her position instead of breaking hard in right away. But Brockenbrough able to retreat easy enough to get back and get that catch. I thought that ball had a little more giddy up off the barrel, but obviously got jammed up enough to just drive it deep.
Mitchell still over at second after the leadoff double. Katie Bennett in the bottom of the order. Winds are shifting after we had some thunder and lightning move through, a little bit of rain. Bennett is a player who had a couple of hits last week in the regional, but she went through a spell, a 4-week spell where she went 0 for 29.
April was not a good month. I'm sure she was grateful to see the calendar flip because May has been much more successful for Bennett.
RBI situation.
When talking to Mike White about Katie Bennett, he said one of the reasons she was having such a hard time is she was just very indecisive at the plate and got caught in between timing issues. And so May, she was a little bit better at making those decisions and being decisive, going after strikes, laying off of balls, and not being caught in between.
Because the ball gets to you so quickly. If you're indecisive, right, even for a split second, you could be absolutely just out of luck on that at bat.
Well, and when you play Tennessee, LSU, and Oklahoma, yeah, you're not going to have a lot of time to think because those are some of the best teams in the country.
3-1 pitch, ball 4, and that brings up Maloney in the top of the lineup.
First walk of the night by Reese Basinger. She does not give up a ton of free passes. That just her 44th on the season.
A chance for Maloney, the right fielder who grounded out her first time up.
If you're thinking 44 walks sounds like a lot, well, she's thrown 170 innings, so comparatively, that's a very low number.
And a good walk to strikeout ratio as well for Basinger. And in the postseason, really, since the ACC tournament, Clemson, it's been a 1-2 punch of Basinger and then Brooke McCubbin, just those two pitchers.
I anticipate Brooke McCubbin. I think we'll see Basinger for about 3 innings, and then McCubbin will relieve.
McCubbin got all 3 wins in relief of Basinger in the ACC tournament.
When you've seen this ball not get called up in the zone much tonight, that's about as high as we've seen get called.
1-2, another ball that goes towards the wall in foul territory. Off the plate.
And I appreciate it when a pitcher gets ahead that they want to throw a waste pitch, but it needs to be believable. Out of the hand of Basinger, that pitch had already fallen out of a hittable zone, and so it doesn't fool a batter into a swing and miss.
And that hit Maloney, who runs down to first, and the bases are loaded now for Caden Henry.
Center fielder number 21, Caden Henry.
20th batter that Basinger has hit this year.
And so right off the wrist, and you're thinking, well, doesn't she have to make a move to get out of the way of that ball? No, she doesn't. If the ball is considered to be completely in the batter's box, then she doesn't have to make a move to get out of the way.
So the bases are loaded now with 2 away for Henry, who had an infield single and then scored all the way from first base on a bunt and an error. The only run we have so far. And after a caucus with the infield, Basinger ready to face Henry. He's 0 for 2 this season with the bases loaded. But with runners in scoring position, Caden hitting .521 on the year, so a big opportunity early for Texas. Picked up by Collins. Noller hung on, little snow cone over there at first base to get Henry, and Texas leaves them loaded.
Shortstops need to be aggressive moving forward. This one, she's aggressive moving forward, but doesn't give a great throw over to Noller at first. I think it's a yellow.
Team that has won 49 games. They win tonight, it will be the first, or anytime this weekend, it will be their first back-to-back 50-win seasons in Texas history. Alex Brown, the leadoff hitter, singled to start things off and then was stranded when Tegan Caban got the next 3 Tigers.
Second time through the lineup, what you're looking for is adjustments by hitters to see that if they can be more successful at the plate. In Alex Brown's first at bat, she got a pop single out into shallow left field because she got jammed up.
Appeal down, and it is a strike.
And she does break the plane of the plate, and it's a believable pitch, but takes a little bit of velocity off of it, which makes it fall off the table right as it enters the strike zone.
This time into center field. Henry dives for it, can't get it. Backed up well as Bennett came over to help things out and keep Brown to a single.
Tell you what, Caden Henry is so fast, and that's one of the pet peeves of the outfield when Cavan is in the circle. Because she gets a lot of miss hits, they get these bloop singles. But with that with the height of that hit not coming off on a straight line, it does give her the chance to dive for that, to try to get the catch, knowing that she's got her left fielder coming over to back her up.
Well, 2 of the 4 hits for Clemson have come off the bat of Brown. Maddie Moore takes a mighty swing. Brown popped out to short her first time up. Maddie Moore did. That's into the gap. Nobody's going to get to that. Brown to third. Wide turn by Moore. But she heads back to first. Runners on the corners to start things off in the second for Clemson.
First baseman.
Great adjustment by Maddie Moore in her second at bat. First time up, got jammed up, popped out to the shortstop. This one, waits, keeps her barrel back, and then drives right through this pitch on the outside part of the plate. Good job of letting the ball travel. With Caden Henry so good in the outfield to chase it down before it gets to the wall, you got to think Alex Brown was off on contact, and with a ton of speed over there, it now puts him on the corners for the Tigers.
This is the heart of the lineup. Noller, the number 3 hitter, flew out to Henry in center her first time up. Clemson has left 3 on base in the first 2 innings against Cavan.
And in a first and third situation, you're always wondering, when is it that the runner on first is going to take off? Maddie Moore is the career stolen base leader at Clemson, but when you look at the arm that sits behind the plate for Texas, there have not been a ton of stolen bases, just 9 allowed on the season for Atwood.
Yeah, 9 and 14 attempts in the entire season. Which, you're right, just shows respect for Atwood.
We talked to Coach White about that number, and he said, yes, she's good, and she's proven that she can throw out some of the fastest runners in our game. He said, but a lot of times we've got a big enough lead that teams don't want to trade an out to try to move a runner, so they haven't advanced in that situation either.
1-2 pitch is popped up, playable, in foul territory for Scott, first out of the inning. Sunday Night Baseball coming up. Series finale between the Dodgers and the Mets. Check it out 7 Eastern on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and radio. Coverage starts at 6 Eastern with Baseball Tonight. Sunday Night Countdown.
Dodgers lead the National League in home runs and average. Mets lead the National League in ERA. Pretty good matchup.
Lucy Cintron, the freshman DP, ended the first inning with a comebacker. Cintron with 13 home runs this year. Only Valerie Cagle had more as a freshman. She had 17. She finished her brilliant career last year with the Tigers. Stewart can't handle it. It's short. Clemson has tied the game.
And Pam, you're seeing how a shortstop has to make so many decisions defensively. With a high hopper, typically you want your shortstop to move hard forward and pick that short hop, but you have to keep your nose in it. As soon as you lift the chin, the glove comes with it, and that's what happened on that play. She came in appropriately, but took her head out of the play, which didn't allow her to glove it up.
An error on Stewart brings in the first run as Vieira goes after the first pitch.
We talked to Abby Vieira about her close stance and why she's made that change in her hitting mechanics this year. And she told us that she's hypermobile, and in being hypermobile, she found herself pulling off of the ball all the time. This one of those trusted seniors for Coach Rittman at Clemson, who has been an everyday starter back behind the plate and This is her first year of being healthy. She has always had an injury that she's been battling and trying to get through. And with that, her numbers have struggled. But this year, her best year yet at the plate, scoring the most runs. Just so important to have a healthy Vieira in the lineup, sitting down here in the 5 slot.
Yeah, big jump, especially between her junior and senior years. Told us she stayed on campus the last 3 years, and as you mentioned, this past offseason, the first one when she could concentrate on softball and not have to throw rehab in the mix.
Yeah, she wasn't training over the summer. She was actually rehabbing every summer prior to this last summer, where she was healthy and getting stronger and putting on healthy weight.
Chopped to Stewart, who turns around, hesitates, and the Tigers have loaded the bases.
Well, Pam, it's at this moment that the game has sped up for Katie Stewart. She is such a good defender, but in the moments where your heart elevates, the game gets faster, and the ball will always find you in those moments. Another high hop to Katie Stewart, and she thought she was going to be able to get a tag of the advancing runner, forgetting how fast Moore is. She was already by her and then spikes the ball to Mia Scott, who luckily was able to keep it close enough and not let it get away and allow a run to score. But this timeout by assistant coach Steve Singleton is simply to calm down his defense and bring things back.
So Vieira reaches on a fielder's choice. Cintron, the batter before, was indeed an E6, an error on Stewart that got her on base. And now the bases are loaded with just one away for Marion Collins, who has some power.
She's got 11 home runs on the year. You mentioned it earlier. She was 8 for 9 in the regional and was also the player that executed the squeeze bunt to score the only run in that 1-0 win over Northwestern in extra innings.
That was during that regional. Neither team tonight has gotten a hit with a runner in scoring position.
But the one inning where they got the run around, it was the 9th. Abby Vieira started the inning with the triple. Next batter, Marion Collins, put the squeeze bunt in the perfect spot. No chance to make a play on Vieira coming down the line. It was the top of the 9th. They held on to win.
So Marion Collins with the infield in.
Pretty good slugging percentage. I mean, not bad for the postseason to hit .889.
Big spot for the freshman. Kennedy Ariel is running out at second base, pinch running for Cintron right now.
And there's the respect that you have to have for Atwood back behind the dish. Look at this throw down the line, little quick throw. Maddie Moore is just a dive away, but there is no need for her to be off the bag that far.
Two O's swung through.
And that pitch has such good bite. A lot of velo coming out of the circle, and then just able to pop that glove. Nice rise ball.
Lifted in the left, should be deep enough to score more, and she doesn't catch it. Bennett unable to catch it, then the ball's kicked around again. Clemson plates 2.
Off the bat, I thought that was going to be a can of corn for Katie Bennett out there in left, but it continued to just carry and go. We talked with this Texas team about what it was like to play under the lights, and they said, you know what, the game can sometimes get sped up when you play under the lights. Looks like that's what happened for Katie Bennett out there in left. Could not retreat fast enough to grab it. Bounced off the 10-foot wall. The Tigers seem to be in control.
3 runs already across, and still just 1 out. Pipkins is the 7th batter to come to the plate for Clemson in this inning. Infield single in her last at bat, and that has been called a double for Collins. Sent down the right field line, the dive, and it's just foul. As Mahoney made a big run for it.
I think it got her right in the face off of the bounce too, Pam. That was a tough defensive play down the line.
Clemson 11-0, playing under the lights this season. And Texas came and practiced here on Tuesday night because they had not played under the lights much this year. It had been a while, and it was a concern. And just to clean up that last play, Collins credited with the double. And then there was an additional fielding error on the left fielder, Bennett. So another unearned run for the Tigers, but they'll take it. Hipkins won't bite on that 0-2 pitch. Here we are in the third inning. If you take a look at the pitch count, this is about to be pitch number 70 for Kavan.
22 pitches in each of her first 2 innings. That's elevated this inning.
It's just a foul ball. It's been called foul by the home plate umpire.
That was called early, and because it was called foul on the field, it is not a reviewable play. If it had been called fair, then they would have been able to go back and reset runners if it had been a foul ball, but that's a good call. It does hit in front of it. It is definitely a foul ball.
John Reckling over there waving his arms.
Well, he's always trying to get that ball to stay fair in that situation with runners at second and third.
Now the 1-2 to Pipkins. Pipkins having a great offseason. 8 for 19, including the ACC championships. Lifted into right field. The liner caught by Mahoney, and then the great throw in. Vieira stays at third.
Smart by Vieira over there at third base. I mean, this is a line drive, which doesn't give a lot of time to work, but the momentum of Maloney out there and right, good job to just use that momentum. Hard, nice throw in, prevents another run.
2 away for Kylie Johnson, who had an infield single her first time up. Pitches for Kavan in this inning alone. And this is pitch number 75 for the game, only in the third inning. Kavan's so good, 2 starts, 2 wins in the regional last week, including a complete game shutout. Defense has let her down a little bit tonight. 2 errors. Two unearned runs. Two to Johnson. Kavan picked a really good time to get her first strike loose, and no deficit is too big for them.
It's always that character.
Why not us? Why not us? That's been the mantra.
Well, the focus of the year is to have fun. They recognize that they play better when they're loose and focused all at the same time. But the seniors met before the season and wanted an intentional, authentic experience. They said, this is our legacy. They said they understood they needed to bring 22 personalities and make them have one goal. They all have a voice. There's not really one true leader in this ball club, and they said our previous alumni walked, so we can run, and we need to take advantage.
And Mia Scott can just trot around the bases as she goes oppo off Basinger. 8th home run of the year.
Nice little Scott trot to get herself just one run away. I mean, Mia Scott has been good all year long. She's been solid defensively over there at third base. And this is about a half ball off the plate. But she is so good at staying in her legs and using the power coming from the circle to drive that ball over the 10-foot wall out and left. Huge home run, an exclamation point for Scott, her 8th of the year, and pushes them within just one run.
So good response after giving up 3 in the top of the inning. And it brings up Atwood, who flew out to left her first time up. Atwood in her career is the best slugging percentage, the most RBIs. Second in home runs. 54 in her career, and she's just a junior. Just a gargantuan year with the 84 RBIs, which is best in the nation this year. That is smushed.
That's exactly the word for it, too. I mean, when you look at the way that she has ranked at the school, she's 3rd among active Division I players in RBI. But that slug and her home runs.
And right now she's chasing herself for the Texas RBI record in a single season. She had 90 last year. And she is, 6 behind that right now. She had 13 last weekend. That helped. That was a big chunk. Pipkins retires Atwood, who's now 0 for 2. A couple of flyouts, one to left and now one to right. You can hear the crowd here.
Number 20.
I can't believe she didn't get a hit.
Well, and that's what happens when you become so prolific at your school. Everybody expects you to hit a home run every time you're up or drive the ball to the wall. And we play a game of failure. You can't let those moments of not being able to execute impact the next opportunity.
Katie Stewart, the shortstop, popped up too short her first time up, and a rough outing in the field so far tonight.
But those are the at-bats when I felt like I was more focused
Right.
at the plate. When I had made an error in the field, when I'd allowed a run to score, that's when I knew I needed to just be a little bit more focused at the plate to do my job, to make up for maybe the miscue that I had out in the field. That cleansing breath, trying to wipe away the emotions of what have happened already here for her tonight.
Still getting used to playing short. Second team all-conference this year and has put up some great numbers offensively.
Well, she's just had to carry such a huge load with their everyday shortstop going down with that ACL in the fall. They tried multiple people at the shortstop position. And when they tried Leanne Good over there, she did well, but then the second base position struggled. So they put her back to second and gave Stewart the reins at short. And she has had her miscues. That is not something that Mike White does not recognize, but he's asked her to make the everyday play. But the errors have come for her at short this year.
We had a brief look at Viviana Martinez, who was in the dugout wearing her jersey with the ACL in the fall. With the ripple effect on the infield for Texas. There's Vivi. It's got to be tough.
Well, you know, she's been rehabbing. She's so close to being ready to go, but at this point in the season, I don't know that she'd be sharp enough to be able to take the field and make a huge impact.
Might burn a year. That almost got Mike White.
I think it did, Pam.
He's saying he's all right.
But that's how hard Stewart hits the ball. That's why she's in the lineup. Right off the back of Mike White. Ouch.
It's around that right shoulder that he just had fixed, right?
And he's been a men's professional pitcher for so long. He said his body's starting to fall apart. That's not going to help.
Full count. Maddie Moore up and down with the ball. Outstanding second baseman.
I just love the way she plays second base. She's been one of those players that I've circled for years, knowing that I love the way that she plays defense, and she's been asked to play third and short while at Clemson, but this year settling into second base. Just a veteran over there. Perfectly timed jump.
She's really enjoying playing second base, and she's being very vocal too at her position. Just shouted after that strike and walked in towards her pitcher, basing her. Jolie Mitchell, leadoff double in the second inning and then was stranded.
When Basinger was talking to us about how she really appreciates having that communication from the infield to her, keeping her present in the moment as she faces Jolie Mitchell at the plate.
That is also a foul ball. We've had some close ones down the third base line tonight from both teams. Jolie Mitchell from Rosebud, Arkansas, and she just said, she said population 492.
She
Rosebud.
knew it. We asked if she was going home this summer, and she said, yep. I said, how long are you going to stay? She said, not that long.
Play for Alex Brown in time, and after the leadoff home run by Mia Scott, Basinger set him down 1-2-3, but a big one.
Mia Scott able to get one more run back from Clemson. She says, I got you. Think about the moment that she was in. Had that lightning delay not happened, it was almost like ice in the kicker, right? She had a chance to think, and then the moment maybe got a little too big.
Brockenbrough, that is handled by Stewart. One pitch, one out to start the fourth for Kavan.
And you just got to get back on the horse. You know you're going to get the ball multiple times at that shortstop position. So good job of her just reining it in and getting that routine play.
3 runs on 6 hits and 1 error for Clemson. Texas 2-4-2, including the home run by Mia Scott in the last inning. Alex Brown is 2 for 2. She has 2 of their 6 hits. And you see Scott and Mitchell crashing from the corners. Kavan having a conversation with Scott, her third baseman.
You can see the defense pulled in. They expect Alex Brown to just tap and go and try to use her speed down the line. The outfield also pulled in, trying to take away that bloop hit. She's got 2 of them tonight in shallow left and center.
Outfielders are playing in as well. Brown this year has scored the most runs in any single season in Clemson history. Of course, it helps when you have people like Moore behind you, who has the most RBIs. Second in the ACC for Moore, who is on deck.
Beautiful spot. I mean, she painted that corner perfectly, down and in. It is so hard for a lefty to try to keep that ball to the left side of the field. But on a swing away pitch like that, you've got to get that front foot down early enough to get your barrel out in front.
2-2. Foul ball.
Hitting's all about timing, and if you cannot get that front foot down, you're never going to be on time for any pitch. So you have to pick a speed. Against Kavan, you've got to get the front foot down like she's throwing 70 miles an hour, but then be able to stay in your legs long enough to keep the barrel back to face that changeup.
That's up the middle. Solid single for Brown, who is 3 for 3.
Perfect on the night and has not really squared up a ball yet. Has been jammed up in every plate appearance, but is finding a way to be perfect at the plate. And this ball just eats her up on the inside part of the plate. She's strong enough to just punch it right back up the middle, put it out there to Caden Henry in center, past everybody on the infield.
Moore singled and scored in the 3-run third inning for the Tigers. Just one of the 3 runs were earned. A couple of errors for Texas in the last inning.
I think one of the things that makes Maddie Moore so important for this team is she's not afraid to speak up and say the hard things and have the hard conversations. She's earned those stripes through the previous 3 years of her career, and now in her senior season has found her voice and is leading this team in such a great way.
Behind 1-2 to Kavan. This is, by the way, only the second time that Clemson and Texas have played softball against each other. The first time was in February of 2022 when Texas won in the tournament on a neutral site. Much higher stakes tonight. Game 1 of the best of 3 super regionals. And again, the winner will get the winner of Georgia, Florida. They get underway tomorrow afternoon. Going to be a great day just to sit and watch softball. It starts at 11 a.m. Eastern time, I believe, and just goes through.
Yep.
Up to Oregon.
Just pick your snacks, move the refrigerator into the front room. This is the best time of the year.
Moore goes down swinging. Second strikeout for Kavan.
Man, when you've got a big swing like Maddie Moore, those pitches up in the zone just look so tasty. But the way that the rise ball came in, too much to handle. Ton of velocity, good spin over the barrel of Moore.
Up to Noller, who's 0 for 2 to try to get something done with 2 outs. Brown over at first. And it's handled there easily by Mitchell, who steps on the bag. Brown stranded.
In the top of the 4th for
Kavan gives up a hit.
On base.
And when we come back, we'll talk with Mike White, the head coach for Texas, his team down by 1. His injury really has had some effects on your team. Katie Stewart out in the field today. What do you say to her after a couple of tough balls hit her way?
Just reset and go get the next out. I mean, that's all you can really do, you know. I mean, I think we're just trying to do too much, and we really want just outs. There's a lot of game left. I think we're moving the ball pretty well, so just trying to do too much.
Well, speaking of moving the ball well, you had one come right at you, Coach. This one, you wore it off your back.
Sure.
Right off the bat of a really big hitter. You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm doing great, thank you. You know, they call it about the hot corner, but that was the hot box. So,
For sure.
It's all good.
Okay.
Welcome.
Good news. All right, thank you so much, Coach White. And you referenced it several times. Mike White was just literally one of the best softball pitchers in the world.
Yes, played professionally all over the world, and the way that he's been able to come into this Texas program, not just give his hitters a great pitcher to face, but the way that he speaks about pitching to his pitching staff changes the way that they visualize in the circle. He talks about visualizing the bend of the pitch and the shape of a pitch. And when we talked to Tegan Kavan about that, she said, you know what? By having those conversations, I'm able to visualize better because of how he speaks to me, because he's been in this position. So having the wealth of knowledge as a head coach has helped the pitching staff.
Victoria Hunter leading things off here in the bottom of the 4th against Reese Basinger. So both starters still in the game for the respective teams. Basinger had 0-2. Alex Brown, perfect throw, first out.
Talking about moving players around defensively, Alex Brown in a new spot this year. She was handling the outfield well for Clemson last season, but then with those graduations last season, needing to play the hot corner, not the hot box. The hot box is Mike
That's
White.
Mike White. That's all.
About 10
is.
feet to the right of Alex Brown.
And good. playing second base, flew out to center her first time up. Good cut.
And that's a healthy cut with really solid mechanics. That ball just moved over the barrel. I mean, the way that Good attacked that pitch, he was very balanced, got good solid front side to be able to swing hard through that one. But the way that ball got over the barrel is so important for Basinger to keep moving those pitches.
Good with some pop in that bat. Has 8 home runs on the season, but had 2 of them last week in the regional, where they outscored their opponents 35-6 and hit .478 as a team. Four hits so far in this one as Basinger gets a swing and a miss.
You mentioned last week, it was Good that went 4 for 10 last week at regionals, and in that time, half of her hits, home runs.
That's hit into center field. Johnson goes back. Or left field, pardon me. That is the left side of the infield. It's late. It's late, Jennifer. Keep me honest.
I had to on that one. I had to give you the big
what
L.
What are you saying?
I thought
you were calling me a loser again.
No,
also true.
I was trying to tell you the ball went to left.
Is it morning yet?
Almost.
Katie Bennett now steps in, the number 9 hitter. Basinger has not set Texas down in order yet in this game. Behind 0-2. Roll off the plate, and Bennett did not chase. Bennett's been a streaky hitter for Texas this year. This is her 3rd school. True freshman at Texas A&M Commerce and then Abilene Christian last year. Now she's here in Austin.
Well, the number 9 batter for Texas has done such a good job of just turning things over and flipping it back over to the top with speed down here at the bottom.
The 1-2. That was Basinger's 70th pitch of the night.
We talked to Mike White about the speed that he has on his team. He says, you know what, I do have really good speed on this team. The problem is you can't steal first base, and it's the bottom of the lineup that has really struggled to put things together. And so needing Bennett to get on to help the top of the lineup.
Collins throws her out.